Womp, 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 womp. UFC Fight Night Abu Dhabi is officially in the books. And these two in the background, man, the Wicked Witch of the West, Shrek. I can't stand the look of these guys right now, man. That was one of the worst main events that we've seen in a while. And there's a lot of blame being put on the side of Magomed Ankalaev. And I get that that's the thing that gets all the engagement, the clicks, the views. But I want to break down the main event, talk about what we saw, because at the end of the day, Ankalaev did what he had to do. It was a very dominant performance. It was a one-sided fight, basically a glorified sparring match. We'll break it down and give my thoughts, because I think that there is blame to go around all the way across the board here. This is not all on Magomed Ankalaev. If anything, I feel like most of the blame should be on Bogdan Guskov. But the problem is, Bogdan Guskov is a finisher. He comes in here and finishes fights, or he gets finished. He's in these action-packed, back-and-forth types of fights. So for him to come in here and it be a boring fight, automatically, everyone's like, well, it's got to be Ankalaev, because we've seen before that he goes to a decision quite a few times, and that's kind of the narrative, is that Ankalaev's so boring, he's so boring. We'll talk about it, we'll break it down, because overall, there were some good performances on this card. We had a great co-main event. The little Tasmanian devil, Ramazan Temirov, knocks out Steve Erceg. That fight went exactly how I told you all it was going to go. So we got a lot to break down, but I got to start with some doom and gloom with the main event. But I also want to say this first. I already was pissed off when I woke up this morning and saw that Islam Dulatov was not going to be competing on this card because I believe he's ill or whatever it is. I hope that he heals up and we can get him back in there competing soon, man. That was devastating. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, I'm basically no longer interested in this card. I just couldn't wait to watch Chanko, John Pork, get in there and do what he does, and he put on a great performance. We'll discuss all of that, but listen, man, I'm in a little bit of a mood. I can't even lie. So who knows what is going to be said in this video moving forward. But here's my thoughts on the main event. It was dog shit. It was a terrible main event. And I blame both of these guys, right? And I was saying coming into this fight, we got Magomed Ankalaev, a.k.a. the Wicked Witch of the West. If you see the side profile, you know what I'm talking about. And then on the other side, we got Bogdan Shrek Guskov. So we got two fun characters coming into this. You get Guskov, who moves forward, throws caution to the wind, puts guys away, or puts himself in the line of fire to possibly be finished himself. And I was like, man, he's taking this on a shorter notice, but he was preparing for that rematch against Jan Blachowicz, which is supposed to be happening next weekend on that Belgrade card. So, okay, so he's been in camp, he's been preparing, he almost KO'd Jan the first time. So I'm like, he's going to probably have this aggressive energy. And now he comes in here against Ankalaev. Ankalaev's expecting Roundtree, completely different opponent, right? A guy that's going to be playing the tit-for-tat game, the Muay Thai style. He's a fellow southpaw, so more of a technical chess match to now having a guy in Shrek over here who's going to walk you down and look to put you away. That's what I thought was going to happen in this fight, and I'm like, perfect, firefight. Guskov's going to either walk forward, land a big one on Big Ank and put him away, or what I thought was going to happen is Ankalaev would just sit on the back foot, snipe him, and put him away with a left hand. Well, it turns out that little did we know, Bogdan Guskov did not show up to fight. Bogdan Guskov, he was playing out in the swamp a little too much, man, hanging out with Donkey. He was hanging out with, hanging out with Donkey too much, man. This dude was literally running away the entire fight, tapping little switch kicks to the lead leg of Ankalaev. He landed one shot that did anything, and it was a right hand. And Ankalaev ate it for breakfast, and that was it. Outside of that, Guskov did fuck all. He did nothing. He ran away the whole fight just like Rakic. Ankalaev's so boring, man. He shouldn't get a title shot because Rakic ran for 15. He's a runner. He's a track star. That's Bogdan Guskov. He's a runner. He's a track star. Ankalaev turns a lot of these guys into track stars. I don't know. But then by the same time, it's also Magomed's fault because this dude just plays it too safe. He takes no chances. But by the same token, why should he? Because he's in control of the fight. He's easily winning. And he's taking no damage doing it. This was literally a glorified sparring match. It was dog shit, man. It was terrible. And I blame both guys. People are like, cut Ankalaev. Well, by that logic, get rid of Guskov too. Get rid of him too. I can't stand the look of these guys right now, man. And getting booed in Abu Dhabi, like, dog. But like I said, all these people out here blaming Ankalaev, and I get it, since the Poatan fight, and Poatan's a fan favorite. We all like Poatan. It's kind of the cool thing to just dog on Ankalaev. It gets all the views, and I get it all. But the reality is, this is not all Ankalaev's fault. He's moving forward the entire fight, taking down Guskov and bullying him and punking him on the ground. Threatening with submission attempts. People are like, Ankalaev doesn't go for a finish. He was trying to lock in some rear naked chokes, and he needs to work on a rear naked choke because it didn't look like he knew how to do one, which was kind of embarrassing. Then he started to throw down some ground and pound. And then Mark Goddard basically was like, we're all bored, I'm stopping the fight. It was basically a Mark Goddard chose to stop the fight due to boredom. This was literally a sparring match, man. This was Guskov running away. Ankalaev landed a couple good left hands, was just spamming teeps to the body, which was smart, attacking the legs of Guskov. Bogdan, dude, he was running away, not wanting to fight the whole time. That was my takeaway. And Ankalaev was walking him down the whole time and bullying him on the ground. And I know Guskov tried one, submission attempt when Ank shot in for a takedown late, but man, at the end of the day, Ankalaev dominated the fight. He clearly won, outstruck him on the feet, out-techniqued him, boxed him up, kicked him up, and then just took him down and punked him on the ground. So it was a dominant performance by Ankalaev. The problem is he kind of has these different expectations on him, given the fact that he has the rivalry with Poatan. So you're messing with a fan favorite, a guy that's got all the star power, who everyone wants to see win. And you're going out there, you beat him, and then he comes out there and knocks you out. And before that, it's like, oh, well, Ankalaev's being looked at as like the kryptonite to Poatan, but he's going to all these decisions. And the reality is, Ankalaev is that student who does everything by the book. He throws the perfect techniques. Everything comes from where it's supposed to. The foot position, the hand placement. He does everything basically right. But he takes no chances at all. And the only time an Ankalaev fight is going to be entertaining is if you try to go out there and just knock him out. Which is why I think that Ankalaev's next fight should be Yuri Prochazka. He needs to be in there with someone that's going to move forward and literally try to take his head off. Because if that doesn't happen, it's going to be boring again. And it's going to be boring and boring and boring and boring because these guys get in there like Guskov, like Rakic, and they realize, and that's why Alex blitzed him in the second fight, you are not going to beat Ankalaev out in space playing this you go, I go, tit-for-tat striking game. You're just not going to beat him. You're not going to beat him. We've seen too many examples. Over the course of 25 minutes, he can comfortably outstrike anybody. He did it to Alex. So that's the reality of this fight. Is Guskov, he was avoiding a fight the whole time. Ankalaev was walking him down, being, frustrated, clearly, because I think he anticipated what I thought. Guskov was going to come out and try to, take his head off. And I thought that was Guskov's best path to victory. Seeing him come out there and play it so safe, I'm like, maybe I get it. You're in your first 25-minute fight. You want to play it cool. But I'm like, what's that going to do to the finishing potential of Guskov? A guy who goes out there and just knocks people out quickly. Is he going to be the same fighter, right? Throwing all these tapping leg kicks, which was smart. That's what I was saying. He should definitely leg kick in this fight. We've seen that Magomed struggles with that in the past, but they were doing nothing. He had zero sting on him whatsoever. But Magomed should have hunted his ass down, man. He should have kept it on the feet, hunted him down, and looked to knock his block off. That's what he should have did. When he realized after that first round that Guskov is not here for a fight, he's trying to run around and basically survive this fight, go out there, tuck your chin. Ankalaev does a good job of keeping his chin tucked. Keep your hands up, move forward, and blast this fool. That's what he should have done. Because there's these expectations and kind of this narrative set around Ankalaev that his fights are boring. And listen, man, yes, it was dominant. Yes, he completely beat Guskov in every element of MMA. But when you go out there and you're the number 1 ranked guy against the number 9 ranked guy who's never been in a 5-round fight, and it takes till the 5th round to where Mark Goddard's basically like, I've seen enough, dog. We're all bored. I'm stopping the fight. And Ankalaev's like, really? I got to stop? And Goddard's like, I've seen it. Hey, buddy, I've seen enough of this shit. This was just bad all around, man. This was bad all around. I mainly blame Guskov. He wasn't here. He didn't bring it whatsoever. That's not his style. We see Guskov walk people down, look to land big shots. We see him kind of skate around on the back foot trying to pull you into a right hand or something, but I don't know what the hell his game plan was. There was none. What was it? To spam a bunch of tapping leg kicks and do nothing and run away and survive? and try to win, a 25-minute fight against the number one ranked. This was such an opportunity for Guskov. He was the one with everything to gain and nothing to lose. And that's the other thing. You sit back, and if you're in Ankalaev's shoes, you're like, well, do I just kind of throw caution to the wind and risk it? Because if I go to a decision or finish this guy late and it's going to be this kind of boring tit-for-tat fight, well, then people are going to just boo me. And they're going to be like, no, don't give me a title shot because look at my boring fight again. That's the narrative right now. So to me, it's almost like this dude just has to go out there and just throw some caution to the wind. And in this fight, I understand that Guskov was avoiding the fight and he was running away. Ankalaev needs to head him off, cut him down, and knock him out, man. And he could have. And that's the most frustrating thing to me is Ankalaev is that skilled and that sharp to be able to do it. Then he plays it so safe, man. But like I said, he's the one with everything to lose. Like, imagine if Ankalaev threw caution to the wind in the third round when he's like, F it, Guskov doesn't want to fight, whatever, I'm just going to stand in the pocket and I'm going to point and we're just going to go. And then Guskov clips him with a right hand and knocks him out. What's the story now? Oh, Ankalaev's the big meme of the week. And everyone's never going to let him down for it, right? Never give him a title shot again, this fraud, this. You see what I'm saying? So Magomed is literally maybe the one fighter in the UFC that cannot win, regardless of what he does. Like, even if he knocked out Guskov in, like, the first 30 seconds with the left hand, they would have been like, it was short notice for Guskov, number 9 ranked guy, never been in. There would have been a list of excuses. So the reality is, don't act like you would have been impressed by anything that Ankalaev did, because if you already are an Ankalaev hater, no matter what he did, you still would have been criticizing. That's the reality. So just at least admit that, all right? I'm just calling it how I see it. From an objective lens, both guys are to blame. Ankalaev, too safe, no urgency, and Guskov ran away and basically was looking to survive for 25. That's what I saw. Oh, let's touch hands at the beginning of the round. Guskov's like, give me a hug, dog. No hugging, no touching to the gloves. Entertain. This is the entertainment business at the end of the day, man. We want to see best on best, but it was a horrible main event. Absolutely horrible. And this narrative, it's going nowhere, unfortunately, for Ankalaev. And like I said, it's a shame because I thought Guskov was going to look to hunt him down, and that's how you're going to get an exciting Ankalaev fight. A guy that's going to be like a bat out of hell, marching him down, looking to knock him out. And when you get that, that's when Ankalaev can strike. That's when, look at the Tuchalov fights. Look at early in his career, and then guys stop chasing him. And then they're like, I'll just kind of dance around out in space. And if they can't land a big shot, they're like, well, I'm just going to kind of skate around and hope for the best is what it feels like. And just spam a bunch of kicks because they can't catch him because he's hard to hit clean and he's technical. But the reality is, Ankalaev just lacks the killer instinct, man. He just does, at least a lot of the time from what we've seen recently. And I know he got mowed over by Alex in that fight. You know, in the rematch, Alex just pounced on him, never even gave him a chance. Because if you play tit for tat out in space with Ankalaev, I feel like one of the only guys that can beat him that way over the course of 25 is Alberg, right? And that's why it was intriguing to see Roundtree against Ankalaev, because Roundtree could match Magomed in this game. He could play the tit-for-tat game to where Magomed would have to take risks in order to win. So, I don't know, man. I'm disgusted by this main event. I kind of want to stop talking about it, to be honest. I'm just irritated because I expected more. I really did. And I know you could say, well, Jake, you're just being, you're being a little delusional here because it's Ankalaev, so you should have known that it would be boring. No. Guskov on shorter notice. Normally a guy's like, I just do 25 minutes. This guy's been preparing for 25. It's my first 25-minute fight. I might be able to play it a little safe, but I got to take chances because this is the number 1 ranked guy. Imagine if Guskov KO'd Ankalaev. People would be like, book him versus Alberg. He would have been the hot name in the division. And he did himself zero favors to where now I'm like, Guskov's going to have to go on a 20-fight win streak to be interested again, right? And then Ankalaev, no title shot. I don't know how you could give him a dog. You had a guy that was running away doing nothing that to me looked like he didn't even want to be there, and you didn't finish him until late in the fight where it was basically a referee boredom stoppage. I mean, it was a stoppage, but you get what I'm saying. I'm playing around a little bit, but it was just frustrating, man, because Ankalaev has all the skills, and I'm frustrated sitting out here talking about this guy's skills because they are there. You see it. The kicks to the body. He's sharp, man. He's very, very sharp. And then he has the grappling to use it. He didn't even need to use it. It was basically him just choosing the path of least resistance, which I get it. He's the fighter in there. He's not really taking any damage. What are we talking about? It was a dominant, easy win for Ankalaev. It's just the fact that it wasn't impressive. And when you're a -5-something favorite or whatever they said when the fight started, you're expected to go out there and dust the guy. But it's also, by the same token, hard to go in there and tango when the other guy don't want to tango. So it takes two to tango. I blame both fighters. Ankalaev, too safe. You want to get back into the title picture. You know that a lot of the fans don't like you. You know that the UFC's hesitant in terms of, your marketability and all this stuff. And you go in there and yet another stinker, to which I mainly blame Guskov. He did not fight the way he normally does. He didn't try to be aggressive. He did not, I'm telling you, Guskov did not try to win this fight. That's how I feel. And Ankalaev just stayed within himself. He's like, why am I going to take any risks? I lose this fight, and I'm probably never fighting for the title again. So I'm going to be smart, win this fight, do what I have to do. And I will say, him versus Alberg is a fun fight, stylistically tit for tat, but it'll probably be boring unless Alberg catches him with a check hook. It'll be you go, I go. It'll be that kind of game. I think you put Ankalaev in there, you redo the Roundtree fight, or give him Yuri Prochazka. Give him someone that will go after him and force him to fight. That's the only way you're really going to get an exciting Ankalaev fight. So that's kind of where I'm at. Ankalaev, clearly one of the best in the world. Good everywhere, super technical, very sharp. No urgency. No urgency whatsoever. And in those later rounds, in the mid rounds, he could have absolutely put his foot on the gas and landed a big shot and got Guskov out of there. He's tagging him over and over and over again with whatever he wanted to throw. So dog shit main event. I blame both guys. Get him out of my sight. I'm moving on. Okay. Better things here. Steve Erceg versus Ramazan Temirov. Listen. Ramazan Temirov is the Tasmanian devil of the flyweight division. And this fight, I got to pat myself on the, be humble, brother. Be humble, brother. Listen, is this fight not exactly how we broke it down, dude? I said this is Kyoji Horiguchi versus Manel Kape all over again. Now, I'm not saying that Steve Erceg is on the level of Horiguchi, and I'm not saying Temirov is Manel Kape. I'm saying from the aspect of Horiguchi was more skilled overall than Kape. I believe Erceg was more skilled overall than Temirov, but like you saw in the Manel Kape fight, all it takes is one shot. In the Temirov fight, right here, all it takes is one shot. I think Steve Erceg is the more technical all-around fighter here. And I still believe that. He throws better, more technical punches. He's got a really good ground game. He fights within himself. He fights with a good strategy toward Temirov's just like throwing missiles, bombs away, charging into range, throwing these big winging shots. And early, he cracked Erceg with some big shots, and I'm like, ooh, Temirov's taking some deep breaths. I feel like he's going to slow down here. And then it felt like maybe the tides were going to turn, and then Erceg's starting to find his range with the jab, and I'm like, uh-oh, here comes Big Steve. Here comes Steve Carell, turning back the times when back in the office days, right? He's starting to kind of turn some things up, starting to find his rhythm. And yeah, that's when Ramazan Temirov just goes bombs away, lands some big shots. And I said, listen, man, if Kai Kara France is exploding in the range and throwing these 2-3 punch combos as he's flying through the air, throwing these big power shots, Ramazan Temirov is knocking you out if Kara France is doing it. That's the reality. So even though I felt like Erceg is the more technical overall fighter, that doesn't always mean you're going to win. And whenever you get a guy that hits like a Temirov at 125, like a Manel Kape, all it takes is one, man. And flyweight, like I've been saying, welterweight and flyweight are the two best divisions in the UFC right now. Without question. Loaded with dynamic talent. And now enter Ramazan Temirov into the chat. You know, this guy's a little ball of muscle, and I feel like his style would make him even more difficult to deal with because he's so short and small and low to the ground, and he's just this explosive ball. Put his hands up and go peekaboo Mike Tyson style, like how Buckley, right, kind of blitzes in with those shifting combos, the windshield wiper head movement, and then just blitzes in with these big power shots. Because the problem with Temirov is as he goes up the rankings, of course he has the power to put anyone away, and when you have that at 125, it's going to make you very hard to beat. But instead of throwing these big, wild, looping things all the time, you know, and I know he set up the right hand that eventually hurt Erceg to put him away. That's where he can kind of go peekaboo and get some of the head movement going and just explode in quickly with these ripping uppercuts and hooks. And I feel like that would make Ramazan even more difficult to deal with than he already is. So Temirov's legit, man. He's legit. And that's what I said about the Charles Johnson fight is people were like, oh, he slowed down in that fight. He still won. And look how many of the striking prospects early in their careers, they lose to Charles Johnson. They look good early. They start to slow down late, and Johnson gets him out of there. He wasn't able to do that to Temirov. So Ramazan is literally the little Tasmanian devil of the flyweight division. The guy's just an explosive ball of muscle, man. And he's accurate, too, when he actually lets the right hand go straight down the middle, and that's what eventually found the target on Steve Erceg and was able to hurt him bad. And that's what I was afraid of. I mean, I really like Steve Erceg, and I was hoping Steve Erceg would win this fight. I don't like people that test positive for stuff, they pop, and all that kind of stuff. I don't like that shit. I don't either. So there was that side of me that's like, man, I hope Erceg slimes this dude out. But the reality is, Erceg had to be perfect for 15, and Temirov didn't. All he needed was one shot. And that's such an advantage at 125. So, and I've been saying for a while, man, listen, I like Steve Carell, but he's overrated. And he always has been. I know he's very technical, but that Pantoja fight, it's like people are still hanging on to that. And I just feel like Steve Erceg, like, I don't want to say he's lost a step, but I just never thought that he was that good to begin with. Like, he's technical and well-rounded, but people talk about this guy like, he's a top 3 guy in this weight class. And it's like, it's just not the case, man. And I picked Steve Erceg in his last 2 fights. I didn't pick him in this one because I figured it's a lot to ask him for 15 minutes against an explosive juggernaut in this weight class like Temirov, who is just a madman in there, dude. Temirov's fun to watch. So hopefully he doesn't test positive for anything else, because I don't like that shit. I don't like when fighters do that, man, regardless. So, but at the end of the day, Temirov's a ton of fun to watch, going out there knocking out Erceg, biggest win of his career, adding a big name, and Erceg was on a 2-fight win streak. So Temirov, I'm sure will get a big fight next, and him and Manel Cap, they're the 2 most dangerous heavy hitters in this division. Very, very impressive performance by Temirov, man. Knocking out Erceg in the first round. And this was like a real KO. This wasn't like a flash TKO to where you cover up and, the ground and pound, the ref steps in. This was like a legit flush knockout, which is crazy to see at flyweight, man. So Temirov's different in this weight class. He's a little dwarf in there, man. A little small guy in there. A little midget, but he's fun to watch, man. I like him a lot. Jokes aside, he's fun to watch. Magomed Zaynukov, Chanko, a.k.a., hey, brother, these guys, Sean Pork. John Pork is calling, and he picked up the phone, and he said, hold on, brother, watch this. This was a very impressive performance because I had said coming into this that I picked Zaynukov to win the fight. And I thought that he would convincingly win, but I expected him to be tested a little bit because from what I had seen from Damian on the regional scene, it seemed like he could bring something to the table. Striking's okay, ground game's okay. And I'm here to say that version of Damian that we saw in there, that didn't look like the guy I saw on tape, which is why it's always, whenever you see these guys debuting and you haven't seen them on The Ultimate Fighter, you haven't seen them on DWCS before, and they're coming right from the regional scene into the UFC, you have to pump the brakes. And that's what I've learned too over the years. You have to pump the brakes, and we need to see it in the UFC first. Because while it looked like Damian could be really good, and maybe he is, maybe he was feeling the moment, I don't know. That didn't look like the guy I saw on the regional scene. And I feel like a lot of that was, just Zaynukov is legit, man. And I feel like it's pretty safe to say, at least in my opinion, this dude is already a top 10 lightweight. I feel like he should get a huge fight next. Like, he's already in his, mid-30s? Let's go. Big win on DWCS. Strike while the iron is hot, gets a big win. Good on the microphone after, talking some smack about Ilya Topuria. Like, listen, man, Zaynukov's got the goods. Right, the fan base likes him, the whole John Pork thing, and he's like, brother, it's Chanko, no John Pork. Just roll with it, dog. I understand the whole Pork thing, being Muslim, I get it. But the reality is, it's getting your name out there. And when you have the fighting style that Zaynukov does, you're going to put butts in seats, and people are going to want to watch this guy fight, because at the end of the day, the whole John Pork thing, it's funny, and this and that, and we get it. And sometimes I forget that his name is Magomed. I forget that it's not John. Right, and I feel like some of us, we're all guilty of that right now. We're like, hey, that guy John, right? He's about to fight the Muay Thai. The reality is Zaynukov is good, man. His Muay Thai is some of the best in the UFC. Imagine him versus Fiziev at some point. The Muay Thai that we would see in that fight. Whoo! Muay Thai on 101. Classes in session. That'd be a great fight. So you got Donchenko, Roundtree, Fiziev, and now you got Zaynukov, right? And I know Oliveira with the Muay Thai as well, but man, Chanko's legit, dude. His striking is so crispy, and the elbows are... And then that fake level change where it looked like he was going to grab the leg and then boom, came right over the top with an elbow. Like the way he was pummeling in to kind of stop that little smudge game plan that Damian had and would just sneak elbows right across him, man. That was beautiful stuff. And that tells me that we got a mean fighter on our hands, man. This was a great performance by Chanko. And listen, living up to Wild Chanko, man, he was fantastic. Very, 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 very good, man. Very, very good. Tons of output. Very accurate. Great shot selection. Those little, teep kicks to the leg, the little oblique shots, ripping front kicks to the face. And shout out to Damian for continuing, right? Got poked in the eye pretty brutally, was getting battered, getting cut up bad, bleeding, and he kept moving forward. So showed a lot of heart. I'd like to see him get another shot at some point, but the reality is, Zaynukov, different level, man. Beat the brakes off of him. And Damian, to me, looked like a guy that was actually pretty solid on the regional scene. And in this fight, you wouldn't even have known it because, hey, brother, John Pork had the answers. He's legit, man. And I think the UFC should give him a big fight next. Who? I don't know off the top of my head, but they should give him someone that has some name value because I believe that this guy is a ton of fun to watch. The fan base likes him. Keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. That was a great performance. Rizvan Kuniev versus Tyrell Fortune. We got to talk about, first of all, off the rip, the chin of Rizvan Kuniev must be studied. This dude, right now, after watching that fight, he's already entered the chat in terms of, like, best chins of all time. Like Marvin Vettori level of durability. Nate Diaz, Max Holloway level of durability. How he was eating those clean, straight, perfect right hands by Fortune, where Fortune was committing everything behind those shots. And they were snapping Kuniev's head back, man. You could see the sweat flying. And he would just eat it for breakfast to keep moving forward. They didn't even phase him. Those were clean right hands by Tyrell. And they didn't even phase Kuniev. And then Kuniev just broke him. And Fortune, dog tough, man. Continuing to hang in there, right? His rib was banged up. His eye was swollen shut, basically. I mean, he was getting beat up in there. And that's the thing about Kuniev. Like, his hands aren't that good. I don't think his boxing's particularly good, and I think his reactions are slow in the boxing. But, man, his clinch game at heavyweight, it's good. Good knees, good elbows, and he's athletic, jumping around in there. And that's what I've said before. He looks like a blob, but don't let the physique fool you. Don't let that bouncing belly kind of throw you off. He could jump around and throw some shots in there. You know, little flying, little front kicks to the body. You know, in the clinch is where he does some of his best work, the elbows and knees. Was just able to break down Tyrell Fortune. And Fortune's dog tough, man. Never gave up on himself, throwing big shots. And obviously with the rib, like, there's only so much you're going to be able to do. You know, hung in there. Was getting battered around. But this is a great performance by Kuniev because, you know, I thought he beat Blades in the debut, and then we picked him against Shelton Almeida. He was a big dog in that fight, and to do that to Almeida, we know how good Almeida is, and to stop all of his takedowns, like, Kuniev's very, very good at stopping takedowns, right? It's not like he's a great grappler himself, but he can stop takedowns, and in the clinch, he's pretty good. Out in space, you know, some decent kicks, but it's a little bit slower out in space to where Fortune was kind of able to take advantage of that and land some big right hands, but he was able to melt him. I thought this would go to decision, but I thought Kuniev would win this fight regardless pretty convincingly. Ate some big right hands, but outside of that, he was in complete control and should have went to the body a little bit more, right? Was kind of headhunting too much when he had Fortune hurt. And I know Fortune was covering the body, so the head was available, but I thought Kuniev was going to get a little bit of an earlier stoppage. He's got, like, weird, like, yeah, he's a heavyweight, and if he sits on a shot, he could definitely hurt somebody, but he kind of flails noodly punches to where he doesn't have a lot of sting behind his boxing. So I feel like that's something that maybe he should add a little bit more to the table, would make him more dangerous. But good performance all around from Kuniev, the best one that we've seen from him in the UFC to date. Abubakar Vagaev versus Saygid Isagok-Maiev. I mean, kind of like a decent fight. I know people were kind of hating on it online. It was kind of decent because of the fact that they were both able to match each other everywhere. Like, Saygid was able to kind of match Abubakar where he's really good, which is the wrestling, and Vagaev shot a beautiful takedown early, was able to control him, won the first round. I thought the second round possibly went to Vagaev. It was close, and then Saygid was landing some good damaging shots on the feet, man, especially in the third round. Looked like he was trying to be Sean Strickland or something, right? Had a little bit of a Philly shell, was snapping the 1-2, you know, was able to take the back of Vagaev, put him in some danger, look for some submissions. So it was a close fight, and honestly, I could have seen it going either way because of the damage that Isagok-Maiev was creating, but I thought the judges were going to give it to Vagaev given the fact that he had probably won the first two based off of control, and he did land some decent shots on the feet, which slid off the center line, landed a good right hand, and that's just why I picked Vagaev to win this fight. Figured he'd be a little bit more active on the feet, a little bit sharper, have a better gas tank, and we saw that, you know, Saygid's gas tank seemed a little bit better in this fight than the Dalby fight, but he still has these, like, energy dips to where the opposition tends to get ahead of him, and I feel like the body language might be a reason that he loses some of these rounds in these close fights. But then how about Hamzat going in there and translating for Abubakar after? So, you know, good for Vagaev to get the win, but not the most exciting fight, but in a way was, like, kind of cool to see two guys that stylistically match up well. They could match each other in the area to where you saw some scrambles, you saw some good exchanges on the feet, but decent fight. Wasn't horrible, wasn't great. Okay, overall, and good for Vagaev to get the debut win in the UFC, and that's back-to-back tough, close losses for Saygid since being in the UFC. It'll be interesting to see if the UFC keeps him around after another L. Ismail Bonfim versus Axel Sola, a.k.a. Nick Jonas. Nick Jonas got the job done, man, and by submission, which surprised me. I thought he would win this by TKO. I mean, we picked Axel, Nick Jonas, Sola all day long to win this fight, and the reality is he dominated. He dominated, and that's what a lot of us anticipated. And look, at this point, I feel like Ismail, he should just stop fighting and just go help his brother become a world champion. Focus on that. Because Ismail, to me, just like it seems like the fire just isn't there anymore. Remember when he bursted onto the scene? It was like, man, it felt like he was more hyped than Gabriel at one point. And now it's like we just kind of know what to expect with an Ismail fight. It's like any bit of adversity, you put him in bad positions, you wear on him a little bit, and he just curls up into a ball and melts, and then that's just kind of all she wrote. So, easy win for Axel Sola, dominant performance, and Sola's kind of a problem in this weight class, man, because if you're not going to turn it into a barn burner and wear him down like Mason Jones did, like, he's pretty technical from range, he's got takedowns, he's got a submission game, and then he's also got solid ground and pound as well, right? Bonfim was trying to throw up a triangle, look for an armbar maybe, off of his back, and Sola almost kind of got caught in it, it looked like, got out of it, landed some good shots, and then I was able to find the submission and get Ismail Bonfim out of there. Still get jealous. Give me Axel Sola moving forward, man, in a lot of these fights because I feel like he's going to be a problem for a lot of dudes in this weight class. Very skilled and big for the division. Remember, he's been at welterweight before, I believe, so good performance. Valter Walker, Thomas Peterson. Listen, man, I want to see Valter Walker get a step up and fight like a top 10 guy just to actually see him tested, but part of me is like, just keep giving him blobs. I want to see him keep submitting these guys with leg locks in the first round. I mean, that is 5 leg locks that's 5 leg locks in a row. 5 submission victories in a row, all leg locks, 4 heel hooks, and then this was, I believe, a calf slicer. So Valter Walker is showing that, listen, man, jiu-jitsu's real, man. It is. A lot of people like to sleep on jiu-jitsu. Like, it doesn't work. It does. And you're seeing, especially in the heavyweight division, a lot of these guys, like, especially when they're blobs and blob-ish and they can't move real well and they get to the ground, like Valter Walker doesn't move like a big man on the ground. Like he moves like a lighter guy, especially in the jiu-jitsu realm, right? Chasing the submissions. Peterson was defending very well against the heel hook. He was prepared for it. The problem was he left his leg in and Valter Walker just kind of grabbed him, pulled it back, was able to get the calf slicer. So Valter Walker, very skilled on the ground, decent on the feet. Definitely you could tell he's a little uncomfortable there, but I wasn't too worried for him in this fight, other than the fact that if he didn't get the early finish and it played out a little longer, I could have seen Peterson like weaponizing the gas tank, which we know is good, and his striking might be a little bit better, but I don't know. I expected Valter by first round submission, made it look easy, got the job done once again. Valter Walker, good personality, good on the microphone. I'd like to see him keep submitting these blobs because it's fun, but I actually want to see him get tested in his next fight against like a top 10 guy. I think that'd be fun. Dustin Jacoby versus Magomed Saidov. So I said coming into this, man, I picked Dustin Jacoby, and a lot of it was I just didn't know enough about Saidov. And that's kind of the problem with some of these guys that the UFC just signs because they're going to a certain area or whatever. They're like, we're just going to give this guy a shot. And when you're trying to find film on some of these dudes, there's not a whole lot other than them looking good against dudes that don't even look like they know how to fight. Right, so it's easy to look good against guys that are putting up no resistance. And I just figured coming into this, it's like, look, I'm going to go with Jacoby. I've seen him in there with good opposition. He's taken out some of these young, talented prospects. But the reality was, I knew in the first round that Dustin Jacoby was going to lose this fight. So if I could have changed my pick live, I would have, because I was like, man, Jacoby looks a lot slower. And Saidov, he's legit. He's legit, and we got a real prospect on our hands at 205. And I was saying that maybe Tuchalov could be the guy. Well, no, it's actually going to be Saidov. Very dynamic. Some of those Shara bullet-like techniques, right? Spinning attacks, that combination that he finished Jacoby with, it was textbook, man. Beautiful. Right hand, left hook, boom. That lead-like high kick that he throws is so fast. And Jacoby looks so slow in there. And it's crazy because I feel like Jacoby has slowed down a little bit because he's definitely older, obviously, but he looks so slow in there compared to Magomed. Way slower. And he just got speed mogged in this fight, out-techniqued, picked apart. Jacoby could never really find him. Outside of the jab and a couple little spammy kicks, he was having really no success. It was all, Saidov getting ahead, landing some good shots, mixing up the targets well. There was a massive speed advantage on his side. And me picking Jacoby, I know Jacoby's a good striker, but it was more about the unknown of Muhammad, and I didn't really know what to expect from him coming into this. I knew he was explosive and had good striking. Didn't know how the gas tank would look over the course of 15 against a high-level striker who's experienced, that's been around the game for a while. But now we know what Saidov brings to the table. So moving forward, I'm sure I'm going to be picking him in quite a few fights. So I had a lot of questions answered. The dude is legit. He's much better than Tuchalov. This is a prospect to keep your eye on at 205. Impressive performance. Highlight reel KO. Amazing, man. Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Sam Patterson. I think it's time for Ponzi to retire, respectfully. I mean, I feel like we're all Ponzi fans. He brings it every time. Landed a big right hand first. I'm like, oh, man, he's going to take advantage of that Sam Patterson tall man defense, which was basically the only way that Ponzi would win. But once Sam Patterson found his range, he started sticking with the jab, man, and it just shows how important the jab is. Not enough fighters fight behind the jab in MMA, and I don't get it, because look how Sam Patterson controlled the whole fight. Was banging up Ponzinibbio, started to let the right hand go, started to mix in some uppercuts, some hooks, was able to tag him up, put him away. I thought he'd do it in the first round, ended up getting it done in the second round. Easy money for Sam Patterson to go out there and a good bounce back performance. Sam Patterson's for real, man. He's got suspect striking defense, got some of that tall man defense, but he's got good submission skills. He's a good grappler, and he's a precise, accurate striker. Those front kicks to the body were great. He's a dangerous guy. In a loaded 170-pound weight class. Good performance by Sam Patterson. Magomed Tuchalov versus Brenison Ribeiro. This is, again, why I say you just don't know until they get to the UFC, and there could be some of the UFC jitters. Some guys do better in this moment than others, but, man, Tuchalov was very underwhelming. And the bottom line is he did what he had to do to win the fight, got a bunch of takedowns, had a dicey first round, got cut up a little bit by Ribeiro, and I said, listen, I think Ribeiro will put up a fight early for sure, because he's got power, he's explosive, he's got experience, he's fought much better opposition. But the fact of the matter is, going to a decision with Brenison Ribeiro at this stage, man, it feels like it's a crime. It just does, because Ribeiro is the definition of a glass cannon. Can put you away, but has like no durability whatsoever. Got hurt by some big shots by Tuchalov at moments, couple right hands here and there, but it was the grappling of Magomed that he could lean on with the wrestling to control and kind of wear on Ribeiro and land some shots and get the job done. Did what he had to do, battled through some adversity. Again, a guy that had never fought against anyone that gave him any adversity. We saw a little bit of it in this fight. Battled through, got the job done. You know, so that's what matters. You got the win, but I wasn't impressed. And personally, I wasn't impressed at all. Narolo Aliev versus Mike Davis. This fight pissed me off, man. And I know Mike Davis is going off on social media, and kind of a bad look, right? Because at the end of the day, you lost. But what Mike Davis is saying, like, it's kind of what I tweeted, and exactly word for word what I said that I tweeted was, I would rather watch paint dry on the wall than watch Narolo Aliev fight. And I know people are glazing Narolo because they picked him to win, and they're just happy they got the pick right. That fight was dog shit. If you thought the main event was bad, this was dog shit. This dude, and I don't know, 81 total strikes of what? Kneeing Mike Davis in the ass cheek? He did nothing. He did absolutely nothing but wrestle. And sure, he's good at what he does. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Aliev is very good at what he does. He's got a great gas tank. He can push the pace. He doesn't stop. His wrestling is very, very good. Stop comparing this dude to Khabib Nurmagomedov. That's very disrespectful to Khabib, because Khabib would take people down and punch their face through the floor. Would talk shit to him while they're doing it. Remember how he grabbed people by the cheekbone? Brother, you have to give up, and would punch them in the face. And then he would look for submissions. He would actually jab people up and hurt people on the feet. Remember when he rocked McGregor with an overhand right? So don't disrespect Khabib by saying that Narolo Aliev, no, not at all. Just because he looks like him a little bit, I don't give a shit. Narolo Aliev is a disgrace. I don't want to see this dude fight again. And I don't know. I should have picked him to win the fight, because if he was going to win, that's what it would look like. Just a smudge fest. Boring, boring, boring. And people want to rip on a lot of these other fighters. Like they want to rip on Khamzat for having one boring performance out of his entire career. How about this dude who's had nothing but boring performances since he's been in the UFC and is very inactive? Mike Davis was doing a great job utilizing his jiu-jitsu to reverse position, sweep, got the butterfly hooks in, was landing some good shots on the feet, was even being active off of his back, landing the more damaging shots. I thought Mike Davis could have won the first round for sure, because Aliev landed nothing and Davis was landing elbows, good shots off of his back, good shots while Aliev was holding him up against the fence, hugging him, doing nothing. So at the end of the day, bad look by Mike Davis, kind of doing what he was doing on social media. To a degree, I understand his frustration, but you did lose. At the end of the day, you knew what this guy was going to do. It's the frustration of not being able to stop what he's going to do. And I don't think people realize that if you're showing up to fight and another guy is not looking to fight, they're just looking to wrestle the entire time, and their only plan is to have a wrestling match, it makes it hard for you because you're not going to want to open up because you're like, man, if I overextend and try to throw a big shot, I'm going to get taken down. Or if I try to do this, and Mike Davis was throwing up submission attempts. So at the end of the day, this was a disgraceful performance all around. And then Aliev, he tried for an armbar. Yeah, with 5 seconds left. Where was that earlier in the fight? So to me, stock-crushing blow to Nurolo Aliev. Domination. Get out of here, man. Get out of here. Dog shit performance by Nurolo Aliev. I'd rather watch paint dry on a wall than watch this dude fight again. I can't stand watching him fight. And Mike Davis, get him an entertaining fighter next so he can go in there and stand and bang a little bit and actually have a fight with somebody because that was disgraceful all around. And Mike Davis should have had some answers for what Aliev was going to do in this fight. Terrible all across the board. Cody Gibson, Abdul Hussein. I'm impressed to a degree with Abdul Hussein. I expected him to make this look easy. Battled a lot of adversity early. Cody Gibson tested him, put him in some bad spots, was throwing up submissions. It looked like Gibson was maybe going to finish and fraud check Abdul Hussein. The reality is Abdul weathered the storm, put a pace on him. Gibson just melted. You could tell. I think he took this on a shorter notice, right? You could tell. Gibson faded quickly. He's a little bit older in his career. Gibson's a dog, man. He's been around. He's a veteran. He's not really going to give up on himself. Kept pushing forward. But it was eventually just the pressure and the pace of Hussein that ended up breaking him down to where he was able to get the submission later in the fight. So Abdul, not the most impressive debut, but again, it is the debut. So we see some fighters not necessarily, fight to the level that we expect them to, but battled some early adversity against a tested guy in Cody Gibson, who's been on The Ultimate Fighter, all that kind of stuff, battled through it, got out of bad spots, and was able to ultimately break him and find a submission later in the fight. Abdul has the skills. I expect more from him in his next fight, but he got the job done and by finish, which is still impressive to do over a guy like Cody Gibson. So that's my thoughts on UFC Fight Night Abu Dhabi. Some good performances. Overall, some frustrating things, some disappointing things, but I don't know, man. I'd be curious to hear what you guys think about this fight night down in the comments. Do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you disagree? Let me know. I want to hear from you all. And if you're new, if you could subscribe to the channel, we're close to 10K. We're not far off. The road to 10K, almost there. I appreciate the support. I'll see you guys next time.